Okay, good stuff. Hello everybody, how are we? Welcome. It's been a while. Let me sort out some background music real fast. Let's get the old... we want this. Let's see. We want this. This is going to be a bit of a background echo, bear with me. Okay, so what I need to do is go back into OBS. It's been a little while, so bear with me. And we are doing... Hopefully that will work for us. Hopefully that will work for us. No, it's not. Okay. That's not good. Let's do... I can't remember how it was done. Was it media source? Or no, I think it was this one. No. I do know what I'm doing, I'm just doing it badly. Let's do... I don't think this is working at all. Let me see. Sounds like methods to your madness here. It's good to see you. How are you? Thank you for joining in. Appreciate it. I think it's just safe to say I have no idea what I'm doing, so I'm gonna just bail on the music. We can sit here in awkward silence. I really should go put some gloves on though, so give me 2 seconds. How are we all today? It's been quite a while. I think when was my last upload? Like nearly 61, nearly 62 days. Oh dear. Oh, I kind of just disappeared on you guys, didn't I? Just left you hanging. Sorry about that. I would love to tell you all of my horrible things that have happened to me. But really, I've got no excuses. I did mess up a little bit though. I had footage for the next video of the Chaos Warriors, and I accidentally deleted the footage. So I have no way to reclaim that, so we'll have to work around it. I can get photographs and stuff, but the actual build themselves we've lost. So, barely competent. Welcome to your unscheduled, inconsistent show. And I'm going to work on a little bit on a project that I'm doing for my brother. So he wants a little, well, I say a little diorama. It's ended up turning into quite a big diorama for my skill set, but here we are. Of Tyranids overwhelming an Imperial line where but an Imperial Knight comes to save them. And he's given me his old Imperial Knight, which he sort of started building, and then he fell off for a while, as we all do. And he's asked me to put it together and kitbash it a little bit to make something quite new. And we're sort of taking a bit of inspiration from various things. It's going to be controlled mostly by its machine spirit. The pilot will already be dead. But we're going to treat it almost as if it's some kind of like Doomslayer-esque attitude. To the point, but it's also given itself trophies from the Tyranids. So I want to start off with the best idea that we actually had for the whole thing, which does not include its legs. It actually includes its face. So if I bring this up, let me see if I can move this. Oh, I'll just break my light. Excellent. Let me see if I can fix this. I think that will do. We'll have a bit of glare on the top of the webcam, but that's not the #1 priority at the minute, so I think we'll be okay there. But what we have here is... that still doesn't help. How's that? Yeah, that works. So, I'm holding this up quite high, as you can see, but this is the headpiece, of course. And ordinarily, you would put on any of the standard faceplates to give it that sort of regal, knightly look, which is one of these three. Right, this is what you would normally put over the face, but we have had a slightly different idea. So the idea is that this knight has been taken over by its machine spirit, the pilot is dead, and it's sort of taking trophies from the Tyranids and adding it onto itself to keep itself as functional as possible for as long as it can. And we thought, what if we take this skull from the box of skulls, and we use that as the faceplate instead. Okay, so here we have the head here and the faceplate. We could put it on something like this. Okay, which I think would look really cool. I think that would be really cool. We do have to modify a little bit. So what we would need to do is cut out this section here. Okay. Let me try and see if I can... How does that look for you guys? That way I don't have to hold it 10 miles in the air. There we go. So that's the kind of idea, and we want the lenses to try and go through the eye sockets of the skull. Maybe over the weapon. We have a separate idea for the weapon. So for the weapon, we're going to have, I think, if I remember correctly, we're going to be using the Gatling cannon. Whatever the official name is, and we're going to put one of the giant scything talons underneath, like a bayonet kind of thing. And then for the other side, we wanted to use the hand, and we thought, what if we get some of the smaller scything talons, maybe from warriors and such, and use them to replace the fingers and thumbs. So that's the kind of idea that we've had going forwards. I've just got to work around what's already been built into the model. But whatever damage is involved will... how do I explain this? If we do it correctly, it will just end up looking like ordinary battle damage anyway. So I'm going to start off with wondering where I've put all of my equipment. Because everybody knows that you can definitely kitbash things without equipment. Okay. Somewhere are my giant clippers, but I can't find them right now, so these Citadel ones will have to do. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to remove this segment right here. So I want to leave as much of the piping as I can. Seems that comes off. As does that, but we caught it. That's fine. We can reattach that later or put in new piping. I've got a really good thing if you want to add in spikes is to have guitar string. Or you can have Green Stuff World putty rollers, and you can make your own ribbed tube in that way. Okay, so that's sitting on there nicely, but it's a little bit low. So what we need to do is to raise it up a little bit. And a lot of that problem is coming from the connection point here, unfortunately. But it is going to be a diorama, so it doesn't necessarily need to be static. Sorry, not static. It doesn't need to be... words are failing me. They're hard. Words are hard, guys. Words are hard. Don't use them. Don't speak. You'll be fine. Articulate. There we go. That's the word. The model doesn't need to be articulate. It doesn't need to move around so much. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off this. I will then put the skull in place, and later on we will pin the parts together just so that they can be secure later on. And that is going to allow us to put it higher up. Okay, because we need to make sure the eye sockets line up with the actual lenses. Otherwise, the knight isn't going to see where he isn't going. So it looks like we might not necessarily have to remove that. Let me see. If I put this back on now that we removed this. Yeah, it doesn't quite fit properly. So I think we're just going to have to add in our own wires. So we can just drill in to where the cables would normally come through, and instead of going into the bottom here, we can have it come into this one and the upper one instead. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see that well. I'm having a bit of a hard time getting this to show properly for you. That's a bit better, I think. Okay, so let's do a little bit of cleanup real fast. And I want to know what you guys are up to. What kind of projects are you up to? Do you guys do kitbashing? Are you super mega sculptors or crazy painters who can make a thing look more real than what real life can actually give us? What do you do? What is your bread and butter? There we go, that just tidies those little connection points up a little bit. And then I'm just going to add in our pilot holes so that we can have our cables and wires. And I think if I do this right, I can just drill straight through to the other side, and we can feed our cables through. Stormcast Eternals going on in a grimdark style with villainy inks. Man, I love the Grimdark Compendium. Those guys are amazing. I actually got my own set of villainy inks just before Christmas, and it's a sharp learning curve. I'm not very good at it at the minute, but we'll get there eventually. And that's not so much about coloration, it's more about the learning how to use the new medium. Waiting for your order of Red Corsairs. Red Corsairs are like my second favourite Chaos Army. So I am predominantly an Emperor's Children guy. Although my giant box of Emperor's Children models are not pleased that they're... Ow. I just drill a hole into my finger as well. We don't need fingers, right? Yeah, my Emperor's Children would beg to differ, considering they're still in the box. I think only one of them has actually been cut out of the box, and then he got half done and kind of abandoned. Let me see. Let me see if I can find him in this mess. There's one part. There's another part. What did you think of the new Red Corsair models? How did you feel about them? My Emperor's Children has abandoned me. I don't know where he's gone. So I have the first part. So this is the arm. I'm sorry about the quality. Camera quality is not great at the minute because I'm zoomed in so much. Let me see if I can fix this. Because normally when I'm recording, my camera is actually all the way down here. But of course, that's not great for the webcam because you kind of just, you know, you just sort of got my thing there. You love the new models? That's fantastic. I'm happy for you. I think the Red Corsairs themselves looked alright. I didn't mind them so much, but I think wasn't a giant fan of Huron's face. But I'm finding that a lot of my problem when I look at Games Workshop stuff is the paint style, I think. And so I just have to get myself used to looking at things in the way that I paint them. But yeah, I think I love the Huron model apart from his face. His face upsets me. I think it's his weird teeth. I'm just having a quick look. Yeah, there's something about his weird sort of blocky brick teeth that just upsets me because he looks his face makes him look a bit like a weird ogren. And I love ogrens. Ogrens are great, but for Huron, I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me. But you know, everybody likes different things, so I'm glad that you like it. But what was it about GW that upset you? I'm curious to know. Oh yes, and this is the banner for my Emperor's Children as well. That I've made from the green stuff and Kitbash. I just haven't painted it yet because freehand is scary. Found a Russian company online doing recast of the old Huron model. Oh, that's fantastic! The old Huron model was the best. It was so good. Just looking at my bitrate, it's complaining at me. Is the stream running relatively smooth enough when I'm up here? Is it all working okay for you guys? Dark miniatures. Okay, let me have a look. I'll have to check that out later. That's pretty cool. The law changed the custodies with so many other factions, when so many other factions could use some female characters and models. Yeah, it's law changes are a bit of a sore spot for a lot of people at the minute. I was not a huge fan with it either, and I think if they really wanted to implement such a thing, they could have done so much better with the way that it was brought in. It's instead of going, oh, they were always there. You could have used the return of Guilliman to say, oh, we've had some advancements in technology or rediscovered some old technology which has allowed this to work. That would be nice. But then, female characters just across the whole would be good to use. I think the main problem is that so much of the miniature basing is around Space Marines. Regardless of whether you're Loyalist or Chaos, it's Space Marines, which, like the Custodians, is heavily male. So the Eldar could always do really good with female characters, with farseers and stuff. The Tau could do really well with more female characters. The Dark Eldar are prime example of someone that could have female characters everywhere. I know the Dark Eldar probably have the most of all of them, but also more the Imperial Guard could be just filled with them. They did all of the Space Marine 2 stuff. They could have brought back Lieutenant Mira from the first game, because she was extremely popular, if I remember correctly. So having a model of her would be really good. More inquisitorial stuff would be nice. But I think the implication of these changes is what's causing so much of the problem, as opposed to it's the way that it's being done. I have the same sort of feeling towards the Grey Knights, whatever. I can't remember what the order is actually called, but the one where it's like it would basically put them up against the Custodians, and it's like we all know the Custodians would wipe the floor with the Grey Knights, because they're just not designed for that kind of thing. What I'm trying to do here is I'm just trying to line this up and create enough space, and I'm just trying to decide if I need to actually remove the rebreather. And I think I will. And what I'll have to do is have cables coming out and going into the skull all over, which will add to the grimdark aesthetic and cover up a lot of the gaps. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to We're going to be brave. Okay, bravery tests like Bob Ross taught us. And we're just gonna take it off, I think. I'm gonna remove that bit of, just so that the clippers can connect properly where we want them to. Same again here. And this is really a thing where you need to take your time. Can't rush these things. I know we have a lot of ways to do things quickly, but when you're doing this kind of thing, you've got to be real careful, because it's far too easy to either take off something you don't want or just cut yourself. So be very, very careful. Okay, that should be fine. So really, I just want to take off this box here, just here. Hopefully that will be enough for us to work with. So we're just gonna get that in secure. There we go, there's our cut. And we can fix whatever needs fixing afterwards. So there we go, there's our bravery moment, and we can save this bit. This can be used for power coils or like weird grenades or anything really. So always save those kinds of components. Happy little accident. Now you've got to beat the devil out of it. Absolutely, just the way he taught us. I think I'm going to cut that bit off as well. There we go. I'm so used to putting my tools on this side, but my microphone is right there, so I have to remind myself to look on the other side. It's been so long since I gave you guys any content, so I really need to sort that out. So I'm going to get back onto the Chaos Warriors. There we go, that's sitting in there nicely. Let me see if I can angle this so you can see what I'm looking at. This is the kind of thing that we want. Now the eye lenses are too far apart to go through the main eye sockets. It kind of sits in between them all. But I think that's gonna be good enough for what we're after. What do you guys think? Let's get rid of this little nub. And then I just got to figure out how to attach it. So obviously we can pin. I'm tempted to put a bit of green stuff or something along the forehead here and have it just press up into the top of the skull here to hold it in place, and then we can fill out the rest of the material. But I think before I do that, I need to know what the rest of the main body looks like. which I have back over here because it was already built for me. So, here it is. Okay, so here is the rest of it that was built for me. So this is coming off quite nicely. And we have the guy in here. We've had some ideas about what to do with him, but we haven't finalised that just yet. But we'll work on that. Okay, so if we have, where's my blue tack? Let's do hypothetical work here. Okay, if we were to get our green stuff and fill this gap in such a way, let's get the beloved pokey tool. We'll pretend that we're good at green stuff sculpting, which I'm really not. So we'll press that up into there, roughly where we want it, just to get the idea on a dry fit. And then we have something like this, which is actually very reminiscent of the Chaos War Dogs, actually, now that I'm looking at it. So I'm thinking we can have that in there. We could put a pin in here. Let me do this on camera so you can actually see. So a pin into the back here. And just have that drilled into the carapace here. Right, which means we can effectively just slot it into place. And then we can have cabling filling in the gaps. That is how I see it. You know, I can actually use that bit of blue tack just to secure that in place, like so, just temporarily. So there we go. That is what we're looking at as a rough idea. And then, of course, he would be mounted like so. And that would, I think that would all fit in nicely, because you have all this cabling at the bottom too. So having it coming out of the top and into the rest of the body is going to work out just fine. So I think I need to go get all my wires and my cables. And we're going to set this in stone, I think. We don't need this. Alright, here we go again. You'd think I'd be prepared for this, wouldn't you? Alright, so what I've got here is first of all, I have my green stuff. I have this sort of Christmas wire. This is very thin wire. That's going to help add a bit of uniformity. It's really thin. I have... This isn't even the right thing that I picked up, but I have some brass wire here. I also have a bunch of electrical wires. So we're looking at something like this. And then I'll be back again. Bear with me. And then I have guitar strings. Okay. Now, if you play guitar, or you know someone who plays guitar, or you've got a guitar store nearby, you might be able to go and ask them for their broken ones, but this is going to save you having to create those ribbed cables that you see a lot on the vehicles and Space Marines and all of that kind of stuff. Okay, and you're going to be able to do that at scale as well for most of the miniatures. So let's take this and get all that blue tack out. Now, I do want to see if I can get those original cables back in without them being in the way. If I can, that would be fantastic, but I don't think that's going to quite work for that. Good idea on the guitar string. You're welcome. Always glad to help. I try my best. But if not, you can order these in. So I got these off Amazon. I got a whole set. I got a couple of sets, and it didn't set me back too much. Maybe about, I can't even remember. I'd have to look it up. It was a while ago, but it didn't cost me a huge amount. You know, and you can just pick out the cheapest ones because you're just using them for the miniatures, so it doesn't really matter what kind of grade that you have. Yeah, there's quite a few here on the low end. Maybe you could get sets for, I don't know, from a couple of quid up to 10 quid, depending on what you want and how many you want. But it's an easy thing to get hold of. But of course, if you can save the money by knowing somebody who has access to them, you can of course do that too. And you'll get, because you'll have the different strings, you'll have them in different sizes. So this is one set of guitar strings. So you'll have them in slightly different sizes. I just don't know if the camera picks it up so well. But they are different sizes, believe it or not. So that's something to keep in mind as you're doing them. Oh dear. Oh. However, they will spring out and go all over the place. There we go. I like to go from the back end and cut from there. So for what I want, I'm going to cut off a few inches worth, maybe that much, I think. This is where I wish I knew where my other clippers were, because they're much heavier duty. This is a thicker one, so I want more of it. And that will do for now. Okay. So let's mix up our green stuff. My green stuff is a mess, but I think that ends up being a common issue for a lot of people. I don't know, I'm guessing. If yours isn't a mess, then how dare you? You disappoint me. Anyways, here it is. Let's cut off a pretty generous portion because we're using it to fill in all of that negative space. And then we're going to just sort of stab the cables into it. And that'll do two things. First of all, if it cures properly, the wires should be embedded in there and it'll be fine. But if the wires do come out, it will leave depressions where we're going to put the cables anyway. And then we can just glue them into place after the green stuff is cured. So either way, it's not going to be too much of an issue. This is probably a way more green stuff than what I actually need. And I'm going to take the gloves off for this because it just sticks to the gloves real bad. And this green stuff I've got here isn't the greatest. It's old, it's chunky. I really should replace it, but green stuff is worth a lot of money, so just have to work it a bit. Okay, it's starting to get a bit easier to work now as the parts combine. And you really can't rush this, you need to make sure it combines properly, which is something I'm not very good at. I rush too much, I get too excited and too into it, and I'm like, yep, that's a gooey mess, that will do. But really, you want to make sure it's properly incorporated. But yeah, that is also how I made this flag. That flag is all green stuff. As far as the main piece, that's all green stuff. I just rolled it out really, really thin and then went over it with the textured part of the hobby blade. And then when it cured, because it was so thin, it was easy to cut and tear up a little bit. So that's what we did. Okay, I think this is going to be good enough. I'm just going to stick it in there, I think, for the lack of a better term. I'm just going to use the back of one of these just to make sure it's in there really well. I just want to make sure I don't put it too low because I don't want it to come over the sockets here, because we don't want to see that. So if you can see just here, it's just poking through. So I'm just gonna push that back. And put that through like so. And then we are just gonna push that in there and line it up as best as we can. There we go. That will do. Again, just make sure that green stuff isn't poking through where you don't want it to. And then I'm just going to try and close this up a little bit, just to try and secure that head as much as possible. I can't really see. This is another really cool thing. If you guys go into some of your stores, I went into B&M here in the UK. In there, check out your makeup areas. So these guys had these pliers, but it has a little torch on there. And that, although it's not going to do you guys any favors, for me, it just means I can see in there where the shadows are, just so that I can align this properly. So if you've got like a little tiny keychain torch or something of that kind of nature, absolutely make sure you have it to hand in your hobby section. You know, if you've got them fancy magnifying glasses that you can wear that come built in with one, then you're all set either way. You know, it's all good. But I'm going to leave that alone for a few minutes. I want that green stuff to start to cure before I start messing around with the wires. Thought I was going to paint the head first. Oh, I need to make sure that everything is in place first before I can paint it. And then I can take it outside and go and prime it. But I need to get the... I need to make sure all the cables are in place. Once that's done, then we can prime it and paint it. So what we're going to do is do similar works on the hand and the gun. The gun, that's the word that I'm looking for. We'll get to painting eventually, don't worry. It might be a while. This is actually the first that I've worked on this project so far. So all the building that's been done so far was done by my brother before he fell out of the hobby. You know, recently he started building again, which is really good. That's really awesome, but he wants me to do this for him, so here we are. What I'm going to do, I don't even know if this will work, but we'll try it anyways. I'm just going to put this green stuff on here, and I'm just going to sit it in my water pot and just see if that helps it not cure immediately. Why have we got this? Because the sun's coming over. The sun's ruining my lights. Please, no. There we go. That better? You can see my horrifying face. Excellent. However, I can barely see anything. Oh, you're thinking of glowing eyes under the mask. Ooh, I hate it when people are right. How dare you? You might be right. You might be right. I never think these things through all of the way. Oh, you've given me a conundrum. Let me have a think. First of all, I need some light in the room. No, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. Not at all. You're actually probably right. Let me see. We could get in there with the brush, but it would be an absolute nuisance. Oh, you're probably right. I think you're right. Because the face is the most important part of the kit, so... Once it's set, yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. What we're going to do then instead is... we are still going to have this bit of green stuff in here. Because what we'll have done is we'll have created something for it to hold on to. When it's set, we can glue it into place like so. So either way, we've still made some degree of progress. And then what we can do is we can add in our pipes. Because I'm thinking all we need to do is just have the pipes going around the top here. Right, and we can just feed them in like so. Yeah. Yep, that's what we'll do. That is what we'll do. So let's pull this out carefully. We will get that primed and painted. We will let this cure. We will get that primed and painted, and then the two parts can come together like so. And then we can pin this and it will go into the carapace. There we go. You are absolutely right. You're very smart. Thank you very much for saving this entire project from my very narrow-minded brain. Predator vibes? Yeah, I guess so, yeah. I gotta admit, I haven't watched a lot of Predator myself, so. But yeah, no, that totally works. Yeah, let's let that do its work. Okay, so the gun. This is another thing that we wanted to look at. So we have here, we've got the flamers. We want the flamers, of course, because we're fighting Tyranids. And if I recall correctly, it was the chain gun that we were going to be using. So let me see if I can find it. Do I need to build the chain gun, or has he already built it? That is the question. I think he's already built it. Yes, there it is. Okay, so here we have our chain gun, which should sit on there quite nicely, like so. And what he wanted me to do is take a scything talon, like so, and we want it mounting essentially underneath. Now, of course, if we do this, when the chain gun goes off, the blade, the mounted blade is going to spin around with it, which would look kind of ridiculous. And if we remove the flamer and we have it mounted underneath like so, it's too short to it for it to make sense. So that presents us with a bit of a problem, because as funny as it is, I'm not sure turning our chain gun into a walking blender is a good idea. I think in practice it was a cool idea, but I don't think it's going to work out for what we're doing here. Challenge. I think I have to go and talk to him about that. It's something that we hadn't considered before, so let's leave that. Let's go over to what else do we have to do? We have to do the hand, and this is going to require a bit of heavy work. So, first of all, where did I put it? I can't find it. My eyeballs have turned off. Where's his hand gone? Oh no. Oh no. Oh, this is awkward. There it is, I found it. I put it in the box, it was just hidden. Okay, we can breathe again. Okay, so the hand. We need to remove these fingers and replace them with other talons. So I have a few options. First of all, I have some 3D printed parts that I ordered in a while ago, which are all Tyranid-esque shaped bits of terrain. They're not very big, but they serve a purpose. And they would fit in quite nicely. The other option is to use actual Tyranid parts and use more scything talons from something like the warriors. So that's those four. We're going to have them four on standby. Let's get all of these out of the way. And I need those Tyranid parts, so I have to go. I need this. Let's see what I can find in this box. So I have some of his old warrior bits. Not a huge amount. I'm not seeing a whole lot there that's going to help us right now. Let's have a look. Some orc bits, some beads that I got. Beads are always awesome. Really big Tyranid bits. I tell you what, if I was doing this for myself, it would be really tempting to just give him this. Sometimes we don't care about the lore. Sometimes it just needs to be cool. But that's not what, it's not up to me, so we're not having that. But it's a cool idea. And then up here we have a whole mess of bits. Let's see if there's anything in here that will help us out. Mandibles, tongues, things which are a little small for what we're after. Here we go. So this is a talon, this is another talon. I think these are going to be too small. I think they're long enough, but I think they're too thin, really, to sell the idea. Sell its soul to the dark gods, yeah. Absolutely. Although I suppose, I know it's thin, but I think we could... I suppose we could get away with it like a... almost like a lightning claw effect. Let's see how many of these I have. If I can get a couple more of those, we can play around with it and let's see what we can get. Here's a bit of chain. I'll have that. Yoink. I love me a bit of chain. Okay, I'm not seeing any other ones, though I do like this this skull, so I'm going to hold on to that in case that's going to be useful. And I think these parts, which I think are from like heavy bolters, like tank turrets, we might be able to use those later. There's the other one. I'm not seeing any more of them scything talons, but I might have some in the overs that I've got left. Battery might die. Oh, that's alright, no worries. Thank you so much for coming by, I really appreciate it. Thanks so much. It's been real nice having you, so travel safe. If you're here, awesome. If not, thanks for coming by and still awesome. So, what else have I got in here? I have... Oh, here we go. Here's some more. There's one. One more. Come on. That's way too small. That's from like a Hormigant. That's too big. Although, I don't know, maybe we could make it work. We'll have to have a see. Here we go. Okay, so I have a full set of the thin ones. I got loads of just bits of broken up Tyranid warriors, so maybe I could put them together, see if I can salvage some of them for the diorama. That would be interesting to see. Let me just check yet another one of my 10 million boxes. Not that one. Okay. So I got a bunch of other bits here. So we have one of these like floating bulbous sack things. I don't really know all of the Tyranid bioorganism names very well. I have sprue. There's actually nothing on that. What else have we got? This is more sprue with nothing on it. Here we go. So we have, I think this is from, what's that, the Trigon and Turbogon bits. I know we want this part for something. I just can't remember what. So I'm going to cut that piece out and put it in the Knight's box so that we remember. Let's put that in there. And then I wanted to check out some of these chunkier claws. Now these are all spares, so I don't have to worry about using up something that I might be using at a later time. So I've got various sizes here. So we'll have that. What we'll do from that sprue for now. Here we go. We've got some more here again. And these might be more akin to the sort of size that we're after, as opposed to these really big ones. If I can get them on camera so you guys can see. Yeah, I think these ones are going to be better, and I have a few of them. So let me grab another one. Okay, we can get rid of these bigger ones. And I think we're going to get rid of these because they just look far too thin and flimsy for what we're trying to do. You know, and we really don't want that sort of thing. No sound? Test, test. Are we back? Hopefully this is working again. Okay. I think we're okay again. I might have broken it. Just assume that everything that I said while the audio wasn't working is just a stroke of genius. Just go with that. Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. So yeah, I'm thinking we could use these chunkier claws for that, and it's going to be again very chaosy, which we were aware was going to happen. Even though this is a loyalist, it's sort of more that morally grey area, which is what you kind of want for a grimdark environment. So I want to remove the actual arm because we don't need that. So let's get rid of those. And then we've got to work out how to get this on. Now, what I'm thinking... This is what I'm thinking. How can I show this to you so it makes sense? If we look at the hand, so the thumb is going to be the easiest one, I think. It has, because it has a full-on ball joint here. Okay. And we also, on the fingers, it has connected to these motors here, these curved bits here. Right, where the finger is attached to represent the knuckle joints. If we can remove the fingers without damaging these sections too much, we should be able to use the natural curve of the Tyranid claw to fix onto those places really easily. Or at least that's the theory. Okay, so you're looking at something a bit like this. So that's the theory. We're going to commit, we're going to be brave, because it's always scary when you chop up a model. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter how many times you do it. It's always a bit worrying. So we're going to start here with the thumb. There we go. Again, save these parts because, especially with the grips here, these could be used if you've got a small bit of artillery or something. You can use this as a bracing piece or something like that. And then we're gonna just cut away because we're brave. There we go. That's not too bad. We just don't want to eat into that knuckle joint too much. Good. Another relatively clean removal. YouTube don't demonetize me, but you know, sometimes you can't help yourself. Every player's an orc player. Anyway, enough of that. Let's cut that off before I get demonetized. And now we have no fingers. So let's clean this up. And we need it to be as clean and flush as possible. So the idea for this was that the machine spirit had taken over after its pilot had died, and basically it's like a doomslayer of Tyranids, so to speak. You know, that's the sort of attitude. It won't be painted up to look like the Doomslayer, which is a bit of a shame, but he wants it in the colours of what he's building these days. So it's sort of like blue with a bit of cosmic-y stuff going on. So I'm thinking maybe something more towards like the Night Lords colour scheme wise. But we'll jump that hurdle when we get to it. For now, we just need to build the thing. I'm not too worried about it being a little rough because we can fill in the gaps with some green stuff along the way. But the more work we do now, the better off we'll be. Okay, so our hand has now been promptly stumped. And now we just need to remove these claws. So I don't want any of the sort of flesh involved. Okay, so all of this needs to go. We literally just after the blade, so to speak. So I'm going to first take this off at the wrist here. That's just going to make it easy to work around. And then we're going to go in from here. Oh, look at that. That's popped off real nice. Okay. And so we are looking at something like that. I think that could be very cool. So we need to remove this material. There we go. Just do a bit of mold line removal. Keep everything nice and clean. Same on the back of the spines. Just a quick little scrape, nothing too crazy. And that should sit relatively nicely on there. This isn't as curved as I might like for a thumb, but it's okay. Might be a little too long. I think we might need to remove some of this material. We'll have to see. Let's keep pushing. So that's one claw. Let's do the others. There we go. Just pop that off. I'm going to cut off the other arms. There we go, and we're just left with our claws. Guys, if you could do me a massive favour, if you are enjoying the stream, please do like the stream. It's going to help YouTube just push it out a little bit further to other people. That would be really awesome. That's all I'm going to ask you to do. But only if you're enjoying it, of course. If you don't like it, then don't put a thumbs up on it, you know. Let's just get all of these parts cleaned up as best as we can, and then we can go from there. We will know exactly how much material needs to come off of the connection points. Okay, and same as before, mold line removal and all of that jazz. Okay. Okay, so here are our parts. And I just want to check the sizes here, of course. Okay, so we have two of each, so that's good. So I think I think what we have to do is take off a lot more material so that instead of connecting up here, it should be connecting further on down this way. I think that's going to be the better move for us. So effectively we want to recreate this, but further down, about a segment or two away. And we're going to have to measure that out for each one, I think. So this is going to be for the index finger. And what I'm going to do is gamble. That's not working. Okay, I did cut a bit of a groove into it by accident, but we can sort of repair most of it and just do it as battle damage. And we're just going to begin to carefully carve away. So I think actually, let's use that accidental cut. I think we want to take off a bit more material. And then I'm going to go in with the file. And then we have to, instead of having it coming out, we need it to come in so that we have that ball joint look. Oh, the joys. It's a bit of a... It's a bit more work. But we'll make it happen. There we go, that's a bit better. Ooh, okay. Now we can see something taking shape. Look at that. We like that. That is very, very cool. That is very cool. We like it. So, We're going to make a groove and work our way around it. And what I'm doing is, as I'm cutting in, I'm just scraping off small amounts and trying to turn my blade as I do it, so that I get a natural curve. Now you want to be careful when you're doing this, because if you bite a little too deep, it will not turn upwards, and you have a chance of breaking your blade or slipping and injuring yourself. So do be very, very careful if you're trying to do this sort of thing. Okay. We're going to go at this with the file again. And let's have another measurement. It's looking good. We just need to go deeper in the center. I will make the vision happen. So what I'm doing is I'm going back and forth making indentations, sort of making like a triangular groove that we can then work on afterwards. We can go at it with a file, then smooth it out into a more circular shape. But this is just a good way to get a lot of material out relatively safely without messing up the bits on the outside, which we don't want to bend too much now. We don't want that extra curve. So let's go in there again. And that gives us something like that. Which is sort of the right direction, but I've gone too far. Sorry, you guys can't see. There we go. I've gone just a little bit too far. What I think I need to do is just remove some plastic on this side because it's higher up. And that should fit okay. So I'm just trying to keep it flat based on the lower edge. Because I don't want the lower edge to change its position. Just the higher edge. Trying again. Looking good. Now, if we want the finger to come up a bit more, we have to remove this top, where this claw is, the spike is. So I think we're going to do that. And I'm just going to have it sort of flatten down a bit. Okay. We're getting good. I think what we need to do is just work on this top bit and curve it a bit more. Oh. We're just very slowly, very carefully doing that so we get like more of a curve. Yeah, we need that on the bottom as well. And let's see. Oh, look at that. There we go. That's snug. That's nice. In fact, yeah, we're just gonna tidy up that bit on the top and then we'll call that finger. We'll call that finger done. Now, of course, I still need to measure the other one, so we don't want that glued on there while it's doing that. While we're doing that, rather. So, I think what we're going to do is we're going to color code these. Just a real quick color code. This is just going to help me remember which claw goes in which finger slot. I need a brush. Doesn't matter what brush it is. It could be the most disgusting brush on the planet. That'll do. So that is for this one here. We're just going to color code that. So this is Drakenhof Nightshade. And that is going to match this one here. Okay. and we'll do each one a different colour, so it's all colour coded and it's easier to understand. Still choppy. The joys of having to use a phone as a camera. Did I not do my bitrate? Is that where my problem is? Although the webcam is fine, I think it's just the bit coming from my phone because it's having to do like a wireless connection, which is not ideal. Stream. Video bitrate 25. Oh. I would like... Excuse me. I would like a bit more than that, please. Okay. Oh dear. We're destroying everything. No dramas. We'll make it work. So we need that there, I think, and then... Is that better for you guys? It's only taken me like 2 hours to realise that I didn't put my bitrate on the correct setting. Okay, so a quick recap. So we're going to color code all of the finger joints so that it's all the same. This just means that I can measure the others without getting mixed up, without knocking the other fingers off as they're trying to glue themselves into place. and then afterwards we can secure them once they're all measured out. So this is the first one. Because we're going to do something a bit more with that hand before I glue them into place. So this is the second long one, so this is going to be the middle finger. So we're going to follow the same principles. We're going to take off a big amount of material, and then we're going to curve it to where we need it to be. So we know it works. I'm just going to try and use the clippers to make like a T. Although I think I'm doing it backwards, aren't I? Yeah, so I need to be going in this way. And this way. Sorry, not a T, more like a V. Yeah, it's just not liking me streaming from my phone. Okay. Because I'm using it as a second webcam. I wonder if I were to take this webcam. For the sake of the stream, it might be better to do it that way. Bear with me. This might work. Or it might not, I don't know. So, I'm going to turn your eyes off, guys, so bear with me. I am still here, of course. Let's put this over here for now. And then I need to unscrew the holder for the phone. And screw in the webcam. Like so. Okay. Great. Good. Then I'm going to give you webcam eyeballs. And then I need to reposition this. So I need to do, first of all, I need to unlock it. I'm going to move this here. We need to do transform. Reset transform. Here we go. And right now you just have a real close-up of my mat because it stopped connecting. So that means I need to go into properties, deactivate, reactivate. This does mean you don't get to see my face, but I think we can live with that. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So we have that, and now we just need to... what I need to do is... See, now it's happy with me because I've stopped trying to use the phone. So let's get rid of that. We don't need it. and we are going to transform. Do I need to transform or do I need to zoom? Properties, configure, camera control, zoom. Here we go. It's not going to do a whole lot, is it? This is sort of why I started using the phone. But that's okay. I have other ways. So we'll apply this. This is okay. And then we're going to transform. And I want to crop. No, I don't want to transform. Reset this. What I want to do is go something like this. I'm just going to artificially zoom in. This is not the greatest way of doing it, but I think this will work. So let's lock that in place. So we can use the phone for recording, that's fine. I got a bit more control when recording the videos, but for the webcam I think this is going to be the way to go for live streams. Yeah. Okay. Alright, so where were we? We were just doing a bit of modification here. Properties. I don't want it to autofocus. That's just ruined it, isn't it? This isn't working out. Okay, right. So we need to remake this shape. Just need a bit more light so that I can see, because it's getting pretty dark now. So we're going to take off these side bits because they're getting in the way. Like so, really easy. And then I'm going to grab our circular file. We're going to make that groove again like we did before. But instead of making like one deep one in the center, I'm going to try and spread this out more. So we spend more time filing in the middle, obviously, but we're going to try and taper it out a bit. And take that little chunk out, please. Thank you. So yeah, we need to go in a lot deeper. So I think I need my bigger knife. Now, I'm not pulling this towards me. I'm basically cutting a groove. So that I can carve off slivers. Although it's not really working out the way I want it to. Oh! I lost my screen for a second. Are we all still here? Are we still alive? Yeah, I'm gonna have to do it this way. Give this another go. We're getting closer. Still need to take more out of the middle. Okay, that's quite a bit there. Let's smooth it out a bit and then we'll give it a go. I think this will be fine. Yeah. Yeah, look at that. That's fine. Okay, let me bring this up so you guys can see. If it'll focus. There we go. So that'll work out just fine. So we're going to paint this a different colour. What have I got to hand? I have a bit of Ghost Blaster green. That'll work. Okay. And then we're going to take our middle finger. And we're going to do that in green as well. And that will help us identify that one. Good stuff. Okay, next up we have the small fingers, or we have the little finger, and then we have the thumb. Okay. So we're going to start with the little finger. We're going to stick to true to form. We're going to take off a lot of material, curve it out. I do want it to be noticeably smaller, not ridiculously smaller, but just noticeably. Here's my clippers. That's gone for all eternity. We'll never see that again. That pinged off somewhere behind me. Yeah, and we just need to take off some material to work through this. I'm actually going to use that hole to our advantage. use that as an anchor point, and we can carve out from there. That's really helpful. Awesome, we like it. Okay, let's clean it up. Okay, so we have our deep groove. We just need to widen it out a little bit just so that it sits in there snugly. Okay, so back to the knife. And just carefully, not like me, but carefully remove that material. Same from the bottom. That came off surprisingly easy, actually. Yeah, that's pretty much in there. I like it. Let's just smooth it out a little bit, and then we will color code that one. That was the fastest and easiest of them all, thanks to that hole that we found in there. We can learn from that, and we can drill a hole in things in the future and use them as pilot holes to latch onto. Okay, so that's 3 down, 1 to go. I just need to color code this real fast. So I need a paint. This will do it. Let's use a bit of lead belcher. Here we are. And the last one is the thumb. Now this will be interesting because it's on a ball joint instead. So I don't actually want to lose too much. First of all, we are going to take off flow. Let's not do that. First of all, I am going to take off the first part. Because it is a thumb, we don't want it to be absurdly longer than everything else. Then I'm just going to cut in them Okay. This looks like an absolute mess right now, but that's fine. Let's fix it. Dedication, we got it. Good stuff. Tidy up them edges with the knife. And then dry fit that to the thumb. Yeah, not even close yet. We need that curve to be wider and more accommodating for the thumb, for the ball joint. So this bit at the bottom is what was in the way. Oh, I didn't quite want to remove all of that, but that's fine. We can work with it. That's better. That can work. That'll work for us. Although I obviously did not clean up this this claw of mold lines. So let's fix that. I'm just gonna do this side so it matches up the other. And that hasn't quite gone to plan. What I want is it to be more inwards. So that means I need the curve, instead of the curve coming down like this, it really needs to come down like this. It really needs to come down across a lot more to give room for that ball joint. It's looking a bit better. And just a little bit more off the bottom. And this is sort of what we've got, which I think is really, really cool. Okay, so we need to attach them. But before I do that, we need to check something out. So an idea that we had was in this arm, it could be grabbing one of these floaty creatures, which I think is was it like a, not a biovore, is it a venom throat? The neurothrope is the psychic one, I think. So let me check. Yeah, yeah, with the sacks. So I want to build one of these up real quick, or at least the body, so that I can see if we can get it into the hand, or like close to it, or like its face into the hand. Now, I haven't built one of these before, so this is all guesswork, but we can give it a shot anyway. A lot of these models on the smaller scale are relatively straightforward. Okay. I'm guessing I don't need that part. Or maybe I do. So this is the other part of the venom throat. I'm guessing this is where the head comes from. Anyone here built a venom throat? Who's got a good idea of what's going on here? So looking at the pictures, this is for something else. Maybe the tail? Or it's the headpiece, because this bit here, this is all very reminiscent of head sections, right? Let's get this out of the way. You know, it's the same as in here. So this suggests that this is for a different creature. So I'm going to have a look at the zone throat. Yeah, so I think this is for the zone thropes. If I hold it up this way, and it's got this it's got the grooves here for the stack, so this is for the zone thropes, which we're not doing. So I need the venom thrope head bits. There's one. Where the rest are, nobody knows. Do I have another half a head? I do not. Maybe the other spruce? Nope. And this one? Also no, not really. Okay. So we don't really have all the bits for that. But I wonder if we just had this and the hand was just holding on to the head, where the head would be, and then we could just create guts and pus coming out the bottom. So it's holding it here. Right, so you wouldn't see that the head isn't there. Not really. Tough stuff. Let's get a bit of blue tack involved. Let's do a bit of testing. Okay, so we have blue, we have green, we have the thumb, and we have the little one. Right, that's already not going to articulate into grabbing the venom throat. So that idea is sort of shot already. Which is a shame, because it was a cool idea. It was going to be like holding on to it. But because I haven't got the head, I really can't get that to work. But it will look cool as just a gauntlet for swiping and slashing at things. I think that's going to be really cool. So let's go ahead and get that secured. We'll have to rethink the zone thrope idea. Maybe you could be like stood on it or something, I don't know. Although the feet are kind of locked in place too. Because they were already built. Okay, so we have the little finger, the middle finger, the index finger, and the thumb. Let's clean this paint off so it's not in the way of the glue. Okay, so we are gonna make a combination of Tamiya extra thin and sprues. This is gonna give us sprue goo, and then I'm gonna use that in combination with neat Tamiya extra thin. Just because the sprue goo tends to thicken up over time, the longer it sits in the jar, or either that, or I just put too much sprue in there when I first made it. Either way, the principle remains the same. Just get most of that paint off so that the plastic, the poly cement can do its work. I'm going to just put that on the first finger. Like so. And then we're going to get our sprue goo. Just going to make sure that's lined up as well as we can. Like so. Number one. Let's do it again. Middle finger. Same as before. Neat Tamia thin on both sections. This is going to start eating away at the plastic and melting it down. And then just a little bit of sprue goo. On it goes, like so. And then we just get that in there. Actually, it is going in for more of a closed hand movement without the blue tack. Maybe we can make something of this after all. Let's follow what it wants us to do. The model knows what it is and what shape we've given it, so we'll just listen to it. Little finger, clean it off. Just to get that paint out. And I've dropped it. Of course. And I can't find it. No. I found it. Okay. I found it. Let's just reapply that glue, get it melting again. And onto that finger. This one does not want to sit properly, so we're going to have to modify it. This is not sitting how we want it to. So I've just taken a bit more off the bottom there. So it's a bit more in line with what the other two are doing. So we just need to even out the two sides and re-establish that curve joint. Sometimes this happens. But it's okay. There we go, that's better. That's more in line with what we were going for. But it still doesn't want to sit straight, and I think it could be the actual knuckle joint itself. So we're just gonna scrape that sprue off. We're gonna try again. Yeah, I think this bit at the top is what could be messing it up. Okay, and then one side is a bit lower than the other, so we just need to fix that too. Oh, I understand now. I've done the curve at the wrong segment. Wonder it's not working. Now, I might have made this too short now, because the curve isn't where it should be. Oh, it's not too bad actually. I think we can make this work. I think we're gonna be alright. Let's take some of this off. Same on the other side. And then we're going to go in there with the file. Let's try that again. Yeah, it's much better. It's going to need a little bit of fill in with some green stuff at a later point when this is all set, but otherwise I think we're just fine. Like so. And then we're just going to let that line up. Yeah. It's going to need some filling, but I think it'll be okay. And then, of course, we've got the thumb. Which can come around like so. I just want to take a little bit more material off that end there. And then I'm just going to go right in there. I'm not going to worry about it too much. There we go. Like so. Focus. I think that's going to work out just fine for us. I'm going to have a drink because I'm a thirsty boy. So we're just going to leave that over there so that it can set. And you want to leave that, I would say leave it overnight because you want that sprue goo to set properly. Take no chances with it, okay, because it's quite fragile. And the connection points were man-made, so they're not as good as what they could be. Let's have a look at our head. How has this green stuff come along? It's cured most of the way. Can I just slot that in and out? Not quite. It's still got some give. So I want to remove anything that doesn't help us. Okay, and that's because we don't want it going or coming out of the eye sockets. Like here. We don't want that. That's not good. And again, once this has set and cured, we can finalize the shape and everything to make sure that everything fits. We can carve it and drill into it and all sorts. It won't be perfect, but it will be enough for what we're after. Okay, so I'm going to let that cure as well. I did not need my 3D printed spines in the end, so they can go away as well. I don't need those right now. Okay. I think next up we can do a shoulder pad. Do we have time for a shoulder pad? What are we? 6:30. I think we have time for the shoulder pad. So one of these shoulder pads is going to be covered in spikes. But keeping in the theme, we're going to be using the Tyranid spikes. I think we're going to do this one, so it's the same one as the Tyranid. No, actually, I think if I had it the right way around, I think we want the one that is facing the opposite side of the hand, so it balances out what we've got. Tyrannidified, that's the word that we're using. So all of these that you get off like the Morlock and everything, that's what we're going to be using. There goes one on the floor. There goes another one on the floor. These ones are more ball jointy, so I'm going to leave them alone for a minute. Please don't throw your microphone on the floor. We're going to grab these ones with the flatter surfaces. Okay, actually, I think we could use the ball joint ones. I've just had an idea. And I've got more there, so let's hold on to them for now. How many have I got? 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 21. If I get the ones that I just throw on the floor, that'd be 23 spikes. Which should be plenty. In fact, you know, I'm not going to look for them right now. So we've got 21 to hand here, which is plenty. Or it should be plenty. 22 even. Here's another one. And I just want to put them on the pauldron, to be honest. That's all it is. What I want to do is, did my little experiment work? Did dunking this green stuff in the thing prevent it from... Nope, that's like a rock, so we can't use that. Okay. That makes sense, but it was worth a try. It was worth a try. No worries. We'll put that over there for another time. I'm sure I can do something with that in my off time. Anyways, so I think we just need to start making a bit of a mess. Okay, now I'm creating pilot holes for these ones with the curve in, and I'm gonna just sort of drill into them, and hopefully the ball sockets will just slot in once I've widened them back up with the knife. I don't want to go all the way through the plastic though, so you've got to be a bit careful. He says pretty much going through the plastic. It doesn't really matter because once you've glued it back on, it will have already, you know, it'll conceal itself. Okay, so here's a few to practice on. Make sure our theory works nicely. Now we're going in with the knife at an angle to create a beveled edge. This is very similar to if you were going to put in damage from gunshot rounds. Sure, I might actually have to go all the way through. For this idea to work. And we're carving away. Oh, it's almost there. It's almost there. Let's take some material out this side to make it a bit easier for the piece to pass through. There we go. There we go. I'll sit on there like so. Now it does mean it's not got too many crazy connection points, but we're experimenting here. So let's do one first. Make sure the theory is sound before we start doing it on other ones. Because if this doesn't work, we'll just turn them into a series of bullet holes. Or some like corrosive stuff. Has been eating away at it from the Tyranids. So I'm gonna just put the glue here, just so we have contact glue on the actual spike itself. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side, just so it fuses together nicely. And I think I'm actually going to put a little blob of sprue glue to just sort of seal it in place, so that when it dries, it really is like a single unit. Okay, so something like that. Okay, and that's for the ball joint ones. Now the ones with the flat ends, you're going to have to use the files to get the curve in place so that it sits. But what I actually think I'm going to try and do is this little segment here, right? This back segment, I'm going to treat this in the same way as the ball joint, basically, and try and push it through to the other side, so it's got a bit of an anchor point going on. And I don't think I'm going to use all of these spikes either. I don't think it's going to be necessary. But we know the idea works, so we're gonna drill through a bunch of holes because we know that we need to do that now. How this happened, I have no idea. I could not explain to you how Tyranid biology works to make this happen, or how a machine spirit would just start acquiring Tyranid bits to put onto itself. I don't know, but we're just going with rule of cool at the minute. And I think 2... No, I think one more. One more will be enough for this half. Because the holes are end up pretty big, so... Just gonna take those edges off. Okay, let's start widening these up. Doing the pilot holes means that you don't break off the tip of your knife by accident. Once you're further down, the knife is a bit sturdier. Or I should say the blade is a bit sturdier and can take the punishment of being used like a drill. But the tips can't. The tips will just immediately snap off. They're too fragile for that kind of heavy duty work. We could green stuff the top as well. This will add to texture as well when we come to painting, so... Oh, I did that one really big, didn't I? I got a little carried away there. It's okay. It's alright, we'll manage. There we go, like that. Just like that. We just use the bottom. We just use them to help us. I'm just seeing if there's any that the ball joints will go into right away before I start modifying anything. I think I'm just a little shade. I'm just a shade too small. That one's way too small, and this one is too big. Come on. Nope. That's good though. We can work with that. Let's do this one. In that goes, like so. And then we're going to add the glue. Just like so. Same on the bottom. I'm not worried about texture. We don't need it to be super smooth because we are going to add like liquid green stuff and sprue goo and all sorts of texturing, things like that. Okay, next one. You also don't need to make these even or similar sized, because we're going with semi-bio-organic stuff. A bit of irregularity will do us good. Just a bit bigger. There we go. Just like that. So onto the end it goes like that. We'll just make sure it's aligned correctly and then glue that in place. Alright, next piece. I'm actually preferring the ball joints. I thought I would want the flat-ended ones, but no, these are actually working out really nicely for us. We're going to expand this hole. This is the one we're going to use. Oh dear, excuse me. And in we go. So hopefully this will inspire you guys to experiment a little bit more when you're kitbashing and to be a little braver. You know, it's a bit of a daunting task sometimes. You know, you don't want to mess up your model, you don't want to damage it because you spent a lot of money on it, but at the same time, if you want something that is unique, these are the things that we have to do. That's on there nicely. Just a bit of sprue goo. I know they put all this detail on here and now I'm just mushing it, but it doesn't matter, no one's really going to be looking at that bit. Okay, I've got, what, 5 slots left? How many more ball joints have I got? I've got 1. These are the flat ones that we're treating like ball joints. Maybe we can get away with the bigger holes with these ones. Let's have a see. Yeah, we can actually. That sits on there nicely. We can use that. So let's clean it up a little bit. because I was a little worried about what we were going to do with that one. But we trust. We trust in the warp. And there's quite a gap in there, but we will fix it when the opportunity arises for us. The sprue goo will help a lot, but it will need reinforcing. The sprue goo alone won't be enough. Just going to put a bit on that bit there. And then, if you've got a lump like that, you can use your pure Tamiya extra thin to feather it out. Okay, it makes it a bit less obvious. Okay, so 4 more to go. And is that going to go in just yet? Not quite. I wonder if I could actually push it through this way. Not really. That's still not fitting, but I think if I just take a little bit more off the bottom part. I think the main part to remember with this is that your outside section needs and your inside section need to match. So like on this side, you need to make sure it's the same on the other side so that you can get the parts through, because when you're trying to do a bit of a bevel, because the blade is angled, your holes aren't always straight. Get in there. Please! Yes. It's in there. Good. We can go from there. So that's that. Oh dear, that was a lot of sprue goo. That's okay, we'll just apply it to this side. Didn't want that anyway. Here we go. Three more to go. Okay, I think we're going to go down the bottom. I wonder if I can get away with this, just sort of only being half in the hole. Maybe, maybe not. Let's have a see. No, because I don't like the angle. Yeah, I don't like the angle, so I'm going to take some more material off the top. There we go, that's going to sit in there nicely. More glue. And in it goes, this sits in there quite nicely actually. That's this one. Make sure that's got a nice secure layer. Did not mean to put any on the trim. There we go. Lovely, and we've got two more to go. Once again, taking that little bit extra off the top. A little off the bottom as well, actually, I think. Round that out. I'll try and give it like a little bit of a seat. Yeah, there we go. Love it. And the last one. And in he goes. Oh, I think the hole's a little bit too big, but that's okay. Same principle as usual. I'm just going over all of the holes, making sure they're all nicely coated. And just even out that extra bit of splodge. As I said, we'll fix this in the future with some texture paints. With some texture paints. Okay, and that, guys, is going to be it for today. Thank you for stopping by. We've done quite a lot today, actually, considering we weren't quite sure where we were. And I haven't streamed in ages. I will have a video out for you soon, within the next few days. But here we are. So we have the pauldron, or half a pauldron, that has been spiked up. I don't know if I'm meant to be doing half of it or the whole thing. I have to double check. Personally, I do the whole thing, but I gotta go and check that anyways. Okay. Underside looks like absolute mess, but nobody really cares about that, so the top isn't looking too great either, but like I said, we'll texture paint it so it's got weathering and all of that kind of stuff going on. We have done the hand. Okay. These are actually relatively secure now. So our hand has now had its fingers replaced with Tyranid Scything Talons, which is really awesome. And we have begun the preparation for the head. So we've removed the mouthpiece down here and the pipes. And we've taken this skull from the Citadel box of skulls, stuffed it full of green stuff. And that is eventually going to go inside there and sit in there. As you guys pointed out earlier on, it's probably better to paint the head first before putting the parts together so that the eyes look good, because we want them glowing out from inside the skull, which is going to be really important. So those are the three major parts that we've done today. And I've immediately just messed up one of the spikes with my fat thumb. Anyway, that's what we've done today. So I want to thank you guys for stopping by. I really appreciate it. If you did enjoy it, do like the stream. If you've missed anything and you want to check it out later on, this will automatically go up as its own video, so you'll be able to check it out in your own time as and when. And who knows, I might just re-download it and chop it up and make a little video out of it. I don't know just yet. We'll see. But thanks so much for thanks so much for stopping by. And whatever you do, make things, have fun, and I will eventually see you next time on Cursed Crusader Arts.